Hi, everybody. Welcome to Talking Jazz, and another episode where I get a great chance to talk to people that are actually making a difference in the world of jazz. And today, I am really honored to have the brand new owner of Shanghai Jazz in Madison, New Jersey, Tom Donohoe, who is going to tell us all about what brought him into the world of jazz, but beyond that, what drives him to bring jazz to the masses. So, Tom, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
So, tell us about your upbringings. I know we just met like a few months ago, and I got to say thank you for being on the show. And for our viewers, what I want to try to do is I'm always trying to educate the public on jazz. Now, Shanghai Jazz obviously has been an institution in Madison, New Jersey for many years, but tell us a little bit about your upbringing, like your beginnings, so to speak.
Sure. I grew up in Morristown, New Jersey, right next door.
Okay.
And I started working in restaurants when I was really young, actually 12 years old.
Wow.
As a busser and dishwasher. And I've always just had a passion for hospitality and restaurants and food and all of it. Worked through college in Providence, Rhode Island as a restaurateur, as a bartender and server. And then moved to Montana to help my uncle and a cousin open a restaurant.
Well, that's a big shift.
Yes. Yeah, I have a skiing problem that dragged me out west and turned into a really great career as a chef for the last 18 years. I've worked in some incredible restaurants around the country. From Montana, I trained at the French Laundry in Yountville, California, Barbudo in New York City, Café des Artistes in New York City. So I've worked with some incredible restaurateurs, chefs, hospitality professionals, and it's been a really fun, great career for me. And about 3 years ago, I started coming into Shanghai Jazz because I had heard the food was very good. Mm-hmm. With my then girlfriend, now wife, Emmy, and just kept noticing that there was just a great crowd and a great vibe at Shanghai Jazz. Mm-hmm. Every night we were there.
Now, were you a jazz fan prior to that?
I've always enjoyed jazz, yeah.
Okay.
I've never been deep into it until recently.
Right.
But going to Shanghai Jazz as a patron for the food, I really quickly came to this realization that jazz is kind of the best music I've identified to have a dining experience too. I like a broad range of musics.
Well, broad range of music because we were just saying that, jazz is a melting pot.
Yes.
So you've got a melting pot of different styles in jazz, which kind of like can coincide with a dining experience for different choices, say, on the menu.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Would
definitely.
that be right? So you're creating that, and so your years prior to this now. So you were in Montana for 18, was it 18 years?
I was in Montana for 10.
For 10 years, okay.
Yep.
That was from when to when?
From 1999 to 2009.
Okay. And you graduated a college in
Providence. I went to Providence College.
Okay.
Graduated with a degree in English.
And did you go right into that business right after you got out of college?
Yes. I worked at a restaurant through college, through high school, through college.
Okay.
And moved to Montana to help.
So it's always been a part of you.
Always.
So see, this is what I love about, and this is how this program coincides with people like you, because it's the passion. It's like early on as a jazz musician myself, 3 or 4 years old, I was always around music. I was fortunate enough to have music in the house.
Yep.
So for a restaurateur like yourself, you had that experience at a very young age, which is positive. They were probably all positive experiences, I would think, right?
Yes, definitely.
Some might not have positive experiences and may switch careers then. But that's you. It sounds like you had the positive experiences, but you also had the fire in the belly because you knew that's what you wanted to do.
Yes.
See, as when I found jazz, that's what I knew I wanted to do, and that's to me, I love that idea of when we find those passions in our lives, that there's something that it's almost like a higher calling.
It is. Bruce Springsteen writes about it in his book. He says, I'm really grateful that I was well compensated for what I do, but I didn't have a choice. I had to do what I
Right.
do.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about cooking and hospitality, and I'm sure how you feel about jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's fast forward to Shanghai. So you went into Shanghai Jazz, and you had this incredible experience. Now, how did you connect with the owner, like David knew at the time, David
Yes.
and Martha?
David and Martha we share, I learned over time that the three of us really share a common vision in what hospitality is. And David has an uncanny ability to remember people and names.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
photographic memory.
absurd. He's just the nicest guy. And so he recognized myself and Emmy coming in, and started asking what our story was. And we got to know each other, and I continuously noticed that the place was busy every night, regardless of what night we were there. Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday,
Always busy.
always busy.
Yeah.
And I started kind of picking his brain about, because I lived in the same area, the market, the restaurant market, liquor licenses, Madison, Morristown, all this stuff. And just got to know him. Like I said, I started to kind of really recognize the different values of jazz as a dining experience. And it's a kind of a thought I've really been developing over the last 7 months. And then I started asking him questions about restaurants. And we had a couple lunches together. And one day we got up from lunch and he stopped and said, "Martha and I are ready to move on to different projects if you would like to buy Shanghai Jazz." And I think
Wow.
what he had learned about me and the people I surround myself with, my brother's a big part of it, Emmy, my wife, is a big part of it, my family in general, just really care about each other and about what we do. And he recognized, I think, that I saw the value in jazz and continuing jazz at Shanghai Jazz and continuing Shanghai Jazz,
The tradition.
the tradition.
Yeah.
And that became more apparent to me over the last 7 months. And it's become actually a responsibility to the Madison community, the jazz community, the musicians, and our patrons, the people who come in, that, as a new guy in the building, it was really important to me to show first the guests and the musicians that I care about what they do, and I value and I see what they do for the business and for those communities.
Yeah.
And not to mention what David and Martha built over the last 22 years. For a small little club, it's an 80-seat club.
It was like one of the top 100 clubs in the world, actually.
Yeah.
So through Downbeat magazine.
Right.
did a poll.
And it's just been an amazing experience getting to know David and Martha, getting to know Shanghai Jazz, and getting to know all you guys,
Yeah,
everyone who comes to play.
and us with you too. That's the main thing. The jazz musician wants to also have a good experience of playing. So you're creating that, and for that we thank you for that. And that's when all the elements are right, it becomes this unbelievable. I've had some unbelievable nights playing there.
Yeah.
And people are just like, you give a standing ovation. It's
Yeah.
like in a restaurant, it's like, but that's a good thing though, because you're creating that atmosphere, you're creating the vibe, and you're continuing the vibe, which is really important. And the other thing is, talk about, I guess, some of the things like maybe some of the visions that you have for what you're doing, because I've seen some of the pictures.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you are doing some really, really cool things. It's like it's the same as Shanghai, but it's a little bit, it's expanded a little bit more. So talk a little bit about that.
Again, it all started with this shared vision of hospitality that I got to talk to David and Martha about.
So tell us about that. What is your vision? What is your...
It's taking care of people and making them feel like they are every aspect, every minute of their experience in my home. I spend an ungodly amount of time in this restaurant. And so I think of that as my home. And the people I work with, whether they're our servers or our cooks, even though none of my cooks speak English and I don't speak Chinese, we have a form of communication that, I try and demonstrate to them how much I value what they do. And so David, Martha, and I, just through conversation, I think we all realized that we share a common vision. And to your point about taking care of musicians, I think you can speak to the experience of a musician going into another club. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't take as good care of you as I think I do. But you go in and you're handed a musician's menu, and you get a turkey club when everyone else is eating. Whatever.
I'm here
and
to
they're
say
here to
we
see
get
you.
whatever we want on the menu. No,
Right.
actually, we get like a 5 or 6 course meal, which is like unbelievable, and it's always like impeccable. It's so good. So yeah, and anything to drink. So that's really, and we appreciate that because that makes us want to do more there bring our game, so to speak, to a higher level.
It's all working together to create a better experience for effectively and essentially the diners who are here to have a meal and listen to this great music. And bringing that together is a really special experience for me and our staff, my coworkers. I think the fact that they've all been there for several years, it's another testament to, again, David and Martha building this place and creating a place that's got a work environment that's so comfortable, and everyone gets along and everybody works well together.
It's now. Have you ever owned any other restaurants? But you've worked in restaurants. Have you ever owned another restaurant?
This is the first I've owned.
First one. Okay. And do you? What's the backstory? Do you know whenever the musicians are starting or being introduced? If you've been to Shanghai Jazz, you'll know that they have the gong that they ring before, and then Tom will introduce the bands. So what's the background on that? Do you know? Is that something that's always been done? Or is that just to give good vibes? Or
it's something that's always been done, and it's clearly very Asian. David and Martha were of Chinese descent, and they created Shanghai Jazz because as they were starting to kind of formulate the idea of buying this restaurant from Martha's parents, Martha, the story I've been told, Martha had done her thesis, I believe, as a Fulbright scholar at Harvard on 1920s Shanghai.
Okay.
And at that time, most of the world was in kind of a bad spot, and Shanghai was this very multicultural international city where a lot of people came together from both hemispheres, from all over the world, Eastern Europe, America, Australia, all over the place. And they came together, and there was this unbelievable melting pot of cultures, and there was a great jazz scene in Shanghai in the 20s. And that's what they were trying to recreate.
So it's thriving, really.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they were trying to recreate that in Madison. And I think they did an amazing job, of course. And now, I've kind of been handed this, again, huge responsibility of carrying on this tradition. And the first goal when we took over was to not change anything for a couple months. To see what the people who we're trying to take care of, the guests and the musicians and our staff, wanted and needed out of Shanghai Jazz.
Right.
And the only thing that really became clear was that we just need to enhance the music and carry on that tradition. So we started with a new sound system so that things sounded clearer. And we're going to add, we've started evolving the cocktail list to try, kind of just draw some new people who, like 4 years ago, don't know about Shanghai Jazz. Maybe they'll hear about a cocktail list or a new beer list, and they're going to come in and they're going to say, music's incredible. Why aren't we here? And I hear it at least once a week. We've never been here. This place the music's incredible here.
Yeah.
The food's very good. Music's incredible. So it's very fun to have a steady supply of people who've come here every week or every 10 days.
And you're probably seeing new people come in all the time too.
All the time.
That's because
every
that's
week.
you're almost like, even though it's been an institution for many years, you're still
Yes.
reintroducing yourself. That's the other thing with even with music. I find myself being 25 years in as a band leader, I'm still reintroducing myself wherever we go. I mean, we play Shanghai Jazz. People might not have ever heard of my group before.
Right.
They're here, but then all of a sudden they become fans.
Yep.
Same thing with the food, the drink, and people are, maybe they haven't been there ever before. It's their first time. They have a great experience like you're providing for them. They're lifelong customers then. And that's what you want. That's ultimately what we all want.
It's also a fun, similar to what you're saying. It's a fun experience for me, as a restaurateur to say, oh, welcome, it's your first time. How did you feel about your Korean beef? It was fantastic. Well, if you like that, next time try this.
Yeah.
Similarly, I get to talk about another subject. When somebody comes in to see Jerry Veza play, and he plays this great jazz piano gig, and
Great jazz pianist. If you guys know Jerry,
he's unbelievable, and he
great
also
piano tuner too.
Great piano tuner. Then I get to say, if you like this piano, if you want to come in on something that's a little bit more raucous and upbeat, come see Eric Mintel. And, we got to talk about your next date.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and I get to meet new musicians who come to see
Yeah.
you guys, and it's been a really fun experience.
And it's that's the thing. You're like the whole experience. And I know it's like when you're a restaurant owner, you're literally, I know, you're like 24/7. You're like married to it now. But you've also you have a wife, and don't you have you have a little one too at home?
I have a 1-year-old. Yeah.
So that's keeping you busy too.
It does. We are incredibly blessed because he's the happiest, easiest kid ever.
Yeah.
I tell people who have other children that he's been sleeping through the night since he was like 5.5 or 6 weeks old. And I've lost friends over it, I think, because the kid sleeps and he's happy and he doesn't complain, and he loves coming to the bar and eating his sesame chicken and clapping and dancing to you guys.
When my daughter was like 3 years old, like not even, maybe 2 years old, I had a gig in Hartford, Connecticut at the Hartford Jazz Festival, but we had been at the hotel. We had a gig prior to that, but we were already in Hartford. So my ex and I had my daughter, and we were up there, and I had a gig at Shanghai on Saturday.
Okay.
And our gig up in Hartford was Sunday. So we came all the way down from Hartford to Shanghai to play the gig. My daughter slept the whole car ride down, and then was awake and downstairs in the where we eat, and would not for the whole set. She was just like crying and just. And then, but we would go back up to Hartford. She fell asleep again.
Right.
But that's how long we've been at Shanghai.
Yeah.
So it's been like an institution for us too. And I know my guys enjoy playing there, and so. The other thing I wanted to talk with you about. Now, you have siblings. You said you have brothers and sisters.
I've got one brother.
And now, are they involved in the
Yes.
business as well? Oh, that's
Yes.
great. So
Yes.
that's good to have that support.
It's been unbelievable, and we just finished a remodel.
Which we're going to see some pictures, I think, here too.
Yeah.
Of.
So we did this. We started planning this remodel over the last 7 months, and I said to my contractor, he's the best. He's also my uncle.
What's his name? We can give him a plug.
Yeah, Peter Maloney with Maloney Contracting and Historical Restorations. He does amazing stuff. So I kind of called him up and I said, he's also my uncle who I went to Montana to help run a restaurant.
Okay, cool. Oh, great.
So anyway, I said to him, here's what I want to do. Can we do this in a week? And he kind of looked at me, he goes, sure.
So he rose to the challenge.
He came up, we took New Year's Day off. On the 2nd, we started, I got there at 10 a.m. and things were just ripped to shreds. And he and his team started working tirelessly. I mean, they were there 7 to 7
Wow.
for a week.
Wow.
I was there. Emmy was there.
And this all just happened on January 1st.
January 2nd.
It's January 2nd? Okay.
Until yesterday, just January 10th, we reopened, and they were still. We reopened at 4:30. The first 2 women came through the door, and they kind of looked around. I said, "Don't worry, we're good. Come on, have a seat. Let me get you a cocktail." And we were still hanging pictures and putting on some of the final touches and
Love it.
adjusting the lighting. And it was just an amazing experience to see something that probably should have taken 3 or 4 weeks get done in 8 days.
Yeah.
And the group of people that came together from the contract, Peter Maloney and Rob O'Mara and David and Quinn, working their butts off to get this done.
That's great.
To my staff, to my extended family. I had 6 cousins on Saturday and 3 uncles
Wow.
working with us.
Wow.
My brother, some of my other business partners were there. Just everybody just pitching in to like clean up or
Yeah.
hang a picture or
Just to get it done.
hang lighting.
Yep.
It was an amazing experience to watch all of this come together in a week. And next time you're up, when you see it, and I tell
can't
you
wait to
this
see it.
happened in a week, I think you're going to be
Yeah,
kind of
we always have such a great time playing there, and I think we have some video clip of just last month, as a matter of fact, when we were there.
Yeah.
We usually do our December Charlie Brown Jazz concert at Shanghai. So check this out. But we did a little video clip. This is take 5. So then Chuck will go on to the. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was at Shanghai Jazz, and that was just last month. That was a lot of fun. And again, Tom, I really, really appreciate you being here. And Shanghai Jazz is one of our sponsors of our show, and really, really appreciate that too. And I'm excited because I can't wait to see what happens, in the next 2-3 years now. Like it's gonna, I think it's even gonna be expanded even more. You're gonna continue that legacy, I think, even more. And any visions for the future, as far as I know, you're already, you've done a lot already.
Mm-hmm.
And do you're continuing the service? Any new additions to the menu? Anything like that happening?
The menu's going to evolve. Yeah, not dramatically at first. It's I use the word evolve very purposefully because I want it to be very slow. Because as you say, the food at our restaurant has a great reputation, and it's very good.
Yeah.
I'd like to refine it a little bit and give some of my own little nuances to it.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, again, to just appeal to a few more people that, whether they say, I don't like, a lot of people think of Shanghai Jazz as a Chinese restaurant. But it's really, we celebrate a lot of Asian cuisine in general. It's much more of a Asian continent that we look at culinarily. And I'd like to bring in a few more influences from my past and, like I said, refine it a little bit. We're going to add a pub menu or a bar menu. The next big phase is we're going to remodel the downstairs, as you said, where you guys.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Where you guys typically
You were
eat.
telling me about that. And what?
So the drawback is that you guys don't really get your own dining room anymore. But we're going to open a cocktail lounge with a great burger and a different.
That's great.
And I dropped some new microphones out of the ceiling upstairs, so we can just bring the music
Hear
downstairs.
everything downstairs. That's great.
So we can kind of continue the same musical experience downstairs, but allow people to be a little bit more rowdy and not rowdy, but have conversation a little bit louder.
Beautiful. Well,
than upstairs.
we're gonna wrap it up here.
Okay.
But why don't you tell our audience again where Shanghai Jazz is located and your website and some things coming up.
So we're at shanghaijazz.com. You can email me at info@shanghaijazz.com for whatever questions you've got, reservations. We're in Madison, New Jersey at 24 Main Street. We've got parking behind the restaurant off of Cook Avenue. We're open 6 nights a week, Tuesday through Sunday, and we've got live jazz every night.
And one of the top 100 jazz clubs in the world, according to Downbeat magazine. And I got to say, it's just a great experience. Can't wait to play. I know after this is over, I'm going to go over the schedule with you because I want to come back and play because we've got a lot of new music that we would like to share too. That's our menu, new music to share with your audience. So it's a beautiful thing. But Tom, thank you so much for coming, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, everybody. And come see us again. Tune in again. We've got a lot of great guests coming on and can't wait to share the next episode with you. Thanks so much. Have a good night. Bye-bye.